Deanna or Deanne?
Here.
All right. So this was left for me. So as your parent used to say, don't make me reach back there. Just saying. All right, approval of the agenda.
Confirmation.
I'm sorry, confirmation of notice. Was the agenda properly noted?
Yes, it was.
All right, are there any changes to be made to the agenda?
No.
All right, so is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Approved. We don't have any minutes from, no, we do have minutes. No problem. This is my first one, so Billy Neal, please feel free to shout out if I'm not doing it right. And so just so you know, next week I'm going to a continuing education to know how boards are properly run, Florida statute, agendas and things like that. So come August, this will be much better, so please just bear with me. All right, so the annual meeting of the board and organizational meeting minutes. Is there any changes to be made to these?
No, I'll make a motion to approve.
Well, hold on, you can't approve the annual, this one, it has to be approved at the annual meeting next year.
Yes, it's the organization.
Say anything?
We can only approve the organization.
Gotcha. See, we're getting there. All right, so approval of the organizational meeting. Any changes? So the motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
That's so moved.
You gotta ask everyone to
All right. Motion to approve. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All right, General Manager, do you have anything to report?
Do we need to approve the minutes from the executive session? You've got a copy of them.
All right, officers' reports. I'd like to make a few comments, if that's okay.
You're the president.
Yeah. I feel like I should go over there. Okay, we met with, Ron and I went and met with First Service. First of all, I'd like to thank, I mean, this is a special meeting, there's not very many, but I would really like for you all to encourage more attendance to these meetings. And we are going to do everything we can to have open communication, to answer questions in a timely manner, to ensure things are done correctly. I am not perfect, much to, I'm sure, everybody's chagrin, right? I will make mistakes. When I do, I will readily admit them and correct myself and move on. If there's any issues with anybody, or if anyone has any problems with me, please talk to me. You cannot offend me, and I would rather you come to me and discuss with me the issue than to go on Facebook or to discuss with someone else. If it's with me, please come to me. I've been dressed down by old school chief years ago, so there's not a whole lot that can be said on offense with, and I would rather you tell me to my face that you hate me and wish I was dead, and then tell me why, so we can address the issue, solve the problem, and move on, than create hate and discontent within the community. It's been very contentious the last few months, that goes without saying, and so I just really want us to sort of have calm. There's a lot of serious issues the association is dealing with that could potentially financially cripple the association if things don't turn out in our favor. So it is important that we work together, that we don't undermine each other, because we will all be affected by it. So we met with First Service today, Rod and I, and there are a couple of issues with statements regarding personnel files. They assured, can everybody hear? They assured me that all personnel files and documents were left here in the building. They vacated the premises on April 3rd. We were assured that the only personnel files and employment records they had were those employees that they hired. And I did ask them if they would be willing to provide copies, and they said yes. They said all Landrum employee personnel files were left. Again, the only files they had were those, or that they took with them or kept, were those of the employees that they hired. All Landrum records stayed. There's some outstanding balances that we will need to deal with as a board, or to ensure that they are paid with regards to liquidated damages of $8,000. That covers the 30% for employees who were retained by Held by the Sea that were hired by First Services. It was within their contract, there was a 30% fee if we kept those employees. So half of that has been paid. It was roughly $16,000, and the associate paid roughly half of that. So I'm rounding the number. So about $8,000 is remaining on that balance. Around $48,000 was paid for employees with regards to vacation, time that they had coming to them. There is a balance of $17,000 on that we need to deal with. There is the case involving an employee, and this is public record, and I cannot speak any more than what I'm going to say as far as public record. And a former employee has hired or filed a age, sex, and race discrimination lawsuit for wrongful termination on those grounds in federal court. So our attorneys are working on that, and we're trying to, First Service has stated that they will willingly work with our attorney to ensure a successful outcome, but that is ongoing.
Question.
Yes.
Was this the case that was mentioned at the annual meeting by the president at that time, that it said that it was the result of when Alex Fambry did not report it to the insurance company?
I believe that is the same case, yes.
And since the annual meeting, I have been told that that general manager at that time that situation occurred with was not Alex Fambry, but was in fact Jenny, who worked for First Services.
That is correct. Just, and these dates are public record. An employee was hired prior to Continental, who then became First Service, assumed management. Jennifer Barrett was the general manager at that time. When the management company was brought on, Jennifer Barrett was remained the general manager. This employee was terminated, her employment was terminated in May of 2013. She filed a lawsuit, claiming discrimination in September of 2013. And it was dismissed from the state court. Now, she still had time to file under a different court, which she did. She filed, so at the time she filed, Barrett was the general manager. When it was dismissed by that point, no, she had filed in August, and Alex Fambry came in September, but the case was dismissed, and then she has since this past year brought it into federal court. So the general manager who was there in the beginning was Jennifer Barrett, and it transitioned to Fambry, and now Ms. Salazar. So that's
Okay.
okay. All right. So I think that's about it. With the recall, I spoke with John Longden, and he is reviewing his options with the attorney to bring it to a successful conclusion. And that is what he has said I am able to say with regards to the recall efforts. So any questions on that? Okay. All right. Did anyone else want to say anything? Did you have any report to issue? Represent Vice President?
Not at this point. The only thing I want to say is we have hit the ground running, and we have no option or alternative other than to do that. And our first goal is to try to get its shiny side up, and then we'll move it between the dishes and see where we go. That's all I can say. So doing your work.
Okay.
Nothing to add.
Deanne?
I have nothing to add to that right now.
And I do want to commend April. She has had a lot on her plate, and she is, I think, in this last week, has worked very hard to work towards solutions. There is a lot going on, and she's trying to get everything together so that it can all be above board, and she's put in a lot of work, and I think we should all give her the benefit of the doubt and to allow her to do her job and let her sink or swim on her own accord. I know that, the environment in which she was hired is very suspect, but she came into a situation that, as we all know, was pretty chaotic. And so I think it's important to allow her the space to do her job. And if she fails miserably, then that's on her. But I will not micromanage her. So there you have it. But thank you.
Question?
Yes.
Question?
Yes.
Can you provide an update on at the annual meeting it was stated that we currently do not have any insurance? Is that still the same case, or has that issue been addressed and,
Insurance with regards to employees' insurance?
no, for the association?
What type of insurance are you referring to?
They said we didn't have insurance on that case.
Oh, there is an issue with regards to the wrongful termination case with regards to insurance. Yes,
Okay.
there is.
But overall, we have overall.
Yes, we have insurance, just that specific case because a claim was not made with the insurance company at the time. And so then, of course, the case was dismissed, insurance companies were switched, and they're saying it was a pre-existing case. And so we don't for that one, but we're working on trying to resolve that as well. Okay. All right, so architectural variance issues.
GM report.
No,
She didn't have it.
Oh, sorry.
I will though. No.
Pete Washenko. Pete Washenko, 2532 Cypress Point Circle. 7215 Riverview Street. Excuse me. They're applying for a variance for a homeowner for a setback to place a shed 5 feet from the property line instead of the required 10 feet. 50% of their property is wetlands. The utility shed is 12 by 10. The ACC recommended to approve it.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you right?
Actually, I wasn't here for the meeting. I actually missed that. so I
That's what you need
have
to say.
read
Of
it.
course I'm right.
I just have a question. I see that he contacted 3 of the neighbors, one of whom did not respond or the mail was returned. That's on one side. There's one neighbor he contacted which, being an even number, would be across the street. I guess my real question is, Mr. Collier doesn't indicate whether he's one of the neighbors on the side or not. Do you know, Pete?
The one that got returned, actually, there's no name on it. It just says 7215 Riverview Street. It got returned, there was no forwarding to the mail.
Right, that was the letter to, 7215 Riverview is the street that wants is the address.
Oh, here
that
it goes,
wants the
right here.
variance.
Yep.
So what I was wondering is, one of the neighbors contacted was William Collier, but he doesn't indicate
He just
whether
says
he's
he has
a
no
side neighbor
objections.
across the street behind or what. Do we know?
No, I don't know. That's all internal. Shelby does that.
Now, McLean, Mr. McLean is one of the side neighbors whose mail was returned. The other being, as I said, across the street.
You know, something, after looking at it, might be easier for you next time. Maybe we should actually have a diagram or an overhead Google with the actual ones that actually said or replied with no objection.
I prefer to see that before we made a decision so that we're sure that he didn't just ask people across the street. The one, I'm fine, the one who did not respond, that's unfortunate.
Beth Walter, 1948 Resort Street. Just realized that every lot in Holly by the Sea has a 6-foot drainage easement on every side property line.
Right.
And anything less than 6 feet requires approval from the county.
Well, I think,
Anything going up.
I thought with the diagram,
Actually, I don't know about that. I just pulled up on the county. The county said 5 feet.
I know, but if you look in,
If they're talking about structure, I think
county
for a
records,
shed.
county records though, there's a note saying that all side property lines in Holly by the Sea have a 6-foot drainage easement, which means you got 6 foot on this side, 6 foot on that side.
Right. Actually, I remember you saying that, and that's why I went to the site today. What they sent me said 5 feet,
But we have, Holly by the Sea has a restriction of 6.
Would that then change
well,
this particular case?
let's see if,
It should change from 5 feet to 6 feet at least.
Or get
Right.
permission, get permission from the county to go 5.
If that's the case, could we approve this request as is, or would we need to change it?
well, here's the problem. If you look at their schematic in the back there, they only have, it's going to be closer than 10 feet to the property line. Then that requires a different permit from the county, because it has to be, you remember it has to be like the house. You can't put up a regular shed that you buy in the store and put it within 10 feet of the house.
Anything is.
So it has to be 10 feet away, and that's the problem. It has to be 10 feet away from the house, but then we run into that 6-foot.
yeah, he has nowhere to go.
He has nowhere to go though with the wetlands.
So everything behind the retaining wall is a wetland?
Right. So I guess maybe what we can say is, we don't have a problem with it. We don't have a problem with it. If the county doesn't have a problem with it, so maybe we could approve with contingent, because he's signing this form saying that he's getting okay from the county anyway. So.
But he was not getting variance.
I don't have the variance from the county here, but they might not picked up on it, because that might be a special thing. Like they said, I got the information from the county, it says 5 feet in the county. Beth is saying it's 6 feet in Holly by the Sea. He might not specify that, we'll have to check on that. We'll have to get verbiage from them saying that Holly by the Sea is different. If you have it,
I have it at home there.
yeah.
I can get it from you.
That's something we definitely should have for Shelby, and we gotta stop it.
They had a copy of it in there when I was on the architecture.
So with the 6 feet, what that means is this man couldn't build anything. Is that essentially what that means? The
I
6
don't know, I
feet?
haven't looked at that plan, so I don't know.
Right, well, there's not enough room. There's not enough. With these ones, there's only 21 feet to the side property line. 10 feet over, 10 foot. 10 feet from the property
How
line.
big is the shed?
The shed is 10 by 12.
Could he get a smaller
Small
shed?
shed?
And or move it closer to the retaining wall. That'd give him room.
Well, if you can't move it closer to the house. I don't even know if the county will come out and look at it, but hypothetically, it can't be 10 feet to the house.
I would feel more comfortable knowing that one of the respondents was an abutting neighbor that would have no problem.
With regards to the setback, he circled the barn warehouse style. That's the one he wants, the 10 by 12.
Yeah, yes.
So could he opt to use, or opt to have the size a 10 by 10 as opposed to 10 by 12? That wouldn't that then solve the 6 foot setback? Because it would be 2 feet smaller?
Well,
I'm not sure
it
about
well
they would do
figures
it.
the length rather than the width.
Is that
If he
21
makes
feet?
if he makes the foot.
That's what we're looking at, but then,
I don't think there's enough room at all.
so that would have to be that, he'd have to go down
Because
to the 8 by 12.
technically, Beth is saying you can only go 6 feet, not 5 feet, right? So that only leaves 6 minus 21, 18, but you can't go 10 feet from the house, so maybe the 8 foot, the 8 foot might first work, 8 by 12. I don't see here. Mr. Thomas? No.
No show, no vote.
Is this something that he could get a variance request? I know it's a Holly by the Sea, so he would have to be seeking a request of the 6 feet. No, he would have to go take that to the county
Right.
to get a variance request. So my motion is to accept this pending approval from the county for the variance. If the county does not give him the variance, then it's not approved.
That's what I was,
All right, so I make a motion to approve Paul Thomas's request for the 5-foot setback for his shed on the condition that Santa Rosa County approves his variance request for the to allow for the 6 feet setback that's required. Okay,
Second.
So approval pending the 5-foot setback from, or pending county approval on the 5-foot setback.
yes.
Okay.
So that might take a little bit of time because I think their first zoning board meeting is the 13th of August, I believe. It's in August. So I'm thinking within the next 30 days. How long should we give him?
Sometimes the meetings are full, too.
Yes.
You may not make it to the August meeting.
Let's vote on the motion and then we'll, so all those in favor of approving this pending approval from the county, say aye. Aye.
okay, so it doesn't have to come back to you if the county approves it.
No, if the county approves it, then
Right.
it's authorized.
For next time though, would it be beneficial to show a Google overlay of every property line and who actually signed the actual variance?
Yeah, property appraiser's office could get that over here.
Yeah, there's two ways to look at the variance. Some people think that the variances for the neighbors really shouldn't even come into play. It's really your decision. So yes, you could use that information to weigh whether you want to allow it,
Right.
but it's really ultimately your decision.
Right.
The board's decision, I should say.
So should we provide for a certain amount of time to get the variance from the county? Okay.
Well,
We've already approved the
Yes.
pending on that, so the motion's already been voted on.
Is there any, if someone wants to speak to any item on the agenda, and I'm going to segue, please come up. You're more than welcome to speak. Just come on up so we can hear you. All right, so the next item?
Yep. Seeing which one it is, Weisberg, 7098 Weisberg.
Yeah, that's the next one.
That's not the one I have here.
Lois,
Property owner's address is Kempton Street.
The next one I have is on Kempton Street.
Yeah, well, the Kempton
Oh,
Street
Lewisburg.
is a mailing address,
Yeah,
Lewisburg is the actual physical.
Okay. All right, so there's a new home application. Basically, they wanted to do a new home, but they didn't actually put the paperwork in yet. They wanted to be approved by the board prior to actually submitting the application fee and the bond because, and it's wetlands again. The lot is 100 by 200. Half of it is buildable, so it's only 100 by 100. They have requirements for the size of the house because of their family. I don't actually know if they're here. Mr. or Mrs. Stepp?
Right here.
Okay, so you might be able to explain it better than me after I'm done. And, or correct me if I'm wrong. So basically, the house itself, the footprint, they're looking for the variance to be 30 feet, not 35 feet in the front. And in the side, they need a variance to go 5 feet. Again, that's for the driveway only, instead of the required 10 feet. You're looking at the schematic there? Okay. So they only have 19 feet for the backyard, and they have children, and, right? And 19 feet is not much to do much of anything. So we originally asked them, the ACC, to move the house back to stay in the requirements, so we didn't have to come to you for a variance. But after talking to them and trying to work it out, they really felt that 5 more feet, the backyard is going to be really nothing. It's really nothing as it is. So we decided to recommend to approve it and bring it to you for your judgment. So basically what they're looking for is to build a house 30 feet, not the required 35 feet for the front setback, and the variance for the side to be 5 feet instead of the required 10, but that's only for the driveway. which we have done in the past.
Don't they own the adjacent lot where they're asking for the
Yes.
variance against?
Yep.
Okay.
So,
Did you
both,
get-
actually, they own the one on the right, and the other one is just conservation land.
Yeah,
Across
it's
the street.
conservation.
So,
Actually, the property across the street is conservation land as well, and then the property to the east is conservation land as well.
Is this on the part of Lewisburg that's not, did you want to come up? You're more than welcome. Is this on the part of Lewisburg that's not developed at all, or is it the western part of Lewisburg?
It's on the eastern part of Lloydsburg where it comes off of Basswood and curves around and goes up to Next Rose.
It's not developed.
It's not
It's
developed
the
at all.
undeveloped
Yeah,
portion.
this will end up being the only house on the street. They're not gonna build on the house next, on the lot next door to them. But the size of the house it's an average size house for a family, and I'm the builder, I'm Mike's family. So it just looking at their wants and needs, it was suggested that possibly we might shrink the plan down a little bit and make it fit, but if we did that, we'd be taking sizes out of the rooms where basically they'd be small rooms and or resale, and you know, if they ever wanted to resell, it'd be hard for them to try to resell the lot, sell the house.
You know, with the wetland in the back, I know as a builder or developer, that can't be cleared.
Right.
Can a homeowner clear the underbrush, not obviously cut down the trees, but do they have the ability to clear it to provide a little bit more of a play area?
It's my understanding that they're not allowed to go in there. It's deeded over to the Army Corps of Engineers. So they
So the entire back half of their property is essentially off limits to them.
Yes.
So are they required to have a fence?
No.
No, they just can't ever develop or
Right.
clear the back part. Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
Make a motion we approve as it is.
I second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
okay, the next one is 2324 Citrus Drive. This is for Holiday Builders to retain the bond, $2,000 bond. They have the new homeowners come in without a final inspection. And besides, they also had you may or may not, do you have pictures? There was debris, and also they didn't have a rain sensor. Initially, they failed the inspection also, so they had to clean up a lot. But it's all squared away now. But they still moved the people in prior to the final inspection, so it's been our protocol to retain.
First time.
So your recommendation is?
Recommendation is to retain the $2,000 bond.
2,000?
Are they here? The holiday builders were notified that we were retaining, we told them that we were retaining their bond, so they had, if they really
When
cared
were they
about it, they
told?
would be here fighting for it.
When were they told that you were
Uh,
seeking to retain it?
We have the email,
Is that May 28th?
That's the first time they've done that too.
May 28th.
And they didn't respond to that at all?
No, they had contact with Shelby. Whether or not it was just verbally, I don't see another email after that, but there was also, on Cypress Point Circle, they were doing a home, and at the same exact time, and they weren't planning on getting a final inspection either. Whether they forgot, either way, they ended up coming into compliance. They did work with Shelby to rectify the problem, so.
So when the problems were brought to their attention?
Yeah, they corrected it. They actually didn't want to put in the rain sensors at all. We actually had to twist their arms for that. And we had to send them literature about, how it's a Florida statute. That's how it originally came to our point of putting it on the application. So,
But they did remedy that.
right.
First time violation for that builder?
No, this builder had one other violation. I don't know if you guys remember, probably about a year ago. He cleared a lot over off of Edgewood. What's that small subdivision? Palmetto Ridge?
Palmetto Ridge.
Yeah, they cleared a lot there, and what happened was, after they cleared it, the homeowner, the house they wanted wouldn't fit on the lot because of the septic system, so they pulled out, and now they had a lot that was cleared, and they couldn't build on it. They weren't going to build on it, so we actually brought it to the board, and we made them try to seed it, put it back a couple trees, and so they had problems and been fine before, but they seem to work with us as long as you open communication. So, it's not a bad builder, at least they're communicating with us.
And your recommendation is to
Is
keep
to
the money?
retain it, only to be fair, because that's what we do.
Okay. Can I make a motion to retain the $2,000?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anything else, Pete?
I have a list of things that I'd love to go over with you, maybe in open forum.
I have a list of things. Oh, no, we don't have open forum.
In open forum?
We learned that from
But I do want to meet with you,
Yeah.
so we can get together, so we can go over.
If you want, like I said, if we have time tonight, I could just.
Oh, we do.
We could just throw it out to everybody so everybody could hear it, and then we could fine tune it.
Awesome, great. Thank you very much. All right, so committee reports. Is anyone here?
Beth Walter, 1948 Resort Street. Long-term planning committee, I don't have a report, however, I would like to find out what the current board's policy is on committees, how members are appointed to those committees, and if I need to submit something for some new members, because I understand you're going to resign, and I have 3 members that want to join.
Okay. So do you want us to draft a policy then? Do we have a policy in place on how individuals are nominated to committees and?
Nothing in writing that I know of.
we have to send bylaws.
No, nothing in the bylaws.
Right?
Yes, there is.
Only for
President
nominating
appoint.
committee and architectural. No other committees are in the bylaws.
So then it might be a good idea just to draft a policy as to when someone has to resign, the protocol. I know it's standard, most people should know, but just so there's no questions. When an individual resigns, how that takes place, and then how individuals are nominated.
Well, if we have a form similar to some of the other forms that we're looking at approving later on, is that, we can include a, checkbox, checking whether or not the member's in good standing and, various other questions that, that way we've got a date when they were put on the committee and a date when they leave the committee, just so we have a record of it.
So what is it you would like from us tonight?
Well, I have 3 members that want to be on the long-term planning committee. Do you want their names submitted to you in an email?
Please do. And also, please include your recommendations, since there's just the one spot for myself, and I'll put that in writing. Is there any other openings for that?
We don't have a number for the planning committee. There's, it's just whoever wanted to be on it. So unless you want something written down, there is a charter for the planning committee that you could probably use for other committees if you want.
That's a good one. You did a good job on that, by the way. Would you like to have the 3 of them? That would be, that would bring your board, that would bring the committee to an even number, right? Would that be okay?
Yeah, I don't think it'd be a problem because there's, usually not everybody is there anyway.
Okay. Well, if you could forward to that, we are going to, the next meeting, the 1st in August, we can,
Okay, I'll do that.
approve who it is you're selecting.
I'm not selecting, they're volunteering.
Volunteering.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you, Beth.
Billy Deal, 2418 Pine Needle. All of the committees serve at the pleasure of the president. We have a new president. So you should actually validate all of the current committees and or terminate those committees and reappoint your own committees at your first meeting. And you're taking care of the nominating committee, which is all you have to do, and that chair should come back to you with members they would like to have appointed, like Beth just said there too. But the social committee, which is really a club, but it's called the social committee, is you either continue them or you say you want somebody to do it. You've got the construction committee or whatever it was.
Engineering.
The engineering committee. You got the VAC. There's several other committees that you need to deal with, but just at your first meeting, you should probably do that.
I think we can do that at the first regular.
Yeah.
And we are going over the finance committee tonight, that's something.
And Tim Carson, 2264 Monterey Drive. I would go along with what Billy says, and it doesn't require a vote of the board. From my reading of the bylaws and Congress bylaws, the president appoints people to committees. So
I would feel
you can, but
more
it's not
confident
necessary.
in
You
allowing
can-
the board.
You can, but it's not necessary. It's been
Yes.
done. I just want to make sure that that's clarified, that you can appoint people to committees.
Yes. I would prefer that the board have say. I would prefer that the board be included in that decision. Okay, so any old business? No? All right, on to new business. Okay, there was a proposal for sandpaper marketing at Holly by the Sea News, presented by Sandy Kent. All right, so I'll just read both proposals. They're pretty short, and that way everyone knows what we're discussing. The sandpaper marketing social media proposal was for a 12-month minimum. It was to establish a presence on social networks that will provide the most benefit for Holly by the Sea. The proposal includes Facebook and Twitter. Posts will promote activities at Holly by the Sea and community events that the general population of Holly by the Sea would benefit from. It would also include professional optimization of Facebook profile, creation of content with a mix of posts that are industry relevant, educational, of local and general interest, professionally designed custom content creation specific to Holly by the Sea, posting to Facebook a minimum of 3 times per week, daily monitoring and responding to people who engage or have questions, Facebook posts perpetuated from Facebook to Twitter, Facebook page remains property of Holly by the Sea and management, and Holly by the Sea designees will have full access. The cost of that would be $250 per month. The Holly by the Sea News would be up to 2 pages for $800 a month, or up to 2 pages twice a month, which would be 4 pages total at $1,500 a month. All materials supplied by the board president or general manager of Holly by the Sea. Pages provided by Holly by the Sea to be proofed by Holly by the Sea designated person before press by designated time. A calendar of copy and proofing deadlines to be provided 12 months out. Copies mailed to every email or every address in Holly by the Sea and provided online for absentee owners. Monthly calendar will be sent for deadlines 12 months out. 90-day cancellation policy. So my response to Sandy was, I did not think, and this was something that was sent to the board, we did not discuss it via email. Just so you know, it was something that we didn't think that we would need the 12 months, twice a month, but that once a month would be good, and then there would be 3 times. We thought 3 times would be good to have it twice a month. The annual meeting, certain events that really as much information that we could get out, and that would be something that we would sit down and schedule with Sandy. Based on my own personal experience, $800 a month for 2 pages is a pretty good price, because even just a small little order can be several $100s. And this is going to every home in Holly by the Sea that has a mailbox, and again to those who do not live here. And then with regards to the social media, my opinion is that it is important to have a professional looking page. And this is not the Holly by the Sea page, unofficial page where everybody posts. Where it's running comments.
Business page.
Yes, it would be a business page where people can come and actually see what's going on. So does anyone have any comments? Does anyone wish to speak to this?
There should be there's no motion because you're just discussing it at this point.
No, we can vote on this because it doesn't say discuss or vote. It just says sandpaper marketing or Holly by the Sea News proposal.
I was going to wait till after a motion.
No, you're.
I was here back when we originally established Sandy taking over from the Gulf Breeze paper. I believe they were Splash. We were paying about $800 a month, or it was a lot more. Sandy underbid what they were doing significantly and gave us a lot more for that. So I just wanted to make sure that folks who weren't here, we got quite a good deal for that, for the money we were paying and I would encourage that we go ahead and reestablish that link.
And I do believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that the 250 is less than what it was, right, before, was it 400?
Yeah, it was 400.
It was 400. And then before it was 1 page for 800, now it's 2 pages. But I always gave as much as y'all needed.
Oh, absolutely. So, is there any board discussion?
Sandy, would you like to speak to the counter offers?
Is there
Oh, no,
time?
she emailed back.
Oh, okay, so you heard that.
So, Kevin, is there anything you want to discuss?
Yeah, I think, if we make a motion that we should include the pending
Yes.
contract review.
Deanne?
I'm good with whatever.
Okay. So my motion is to approve upon, let me see if I make sure I read this.
First publication. When is the first publication?
It could be August.
Would it be August? Well, pending, the contract. So approve the Sandpaper Marketing social media proposal for $250 a month and the Holly by the Sea News pending or upon approval of contract for both, because I think it's important that these are proposals, so I think it's important that we do a contract because it's a business and both sides need to be protected, obviously, as we're well aware. So a motion to approve the proposals pending board approval of contract for both Holly by the Sea News at $800 a month for 9 months and $1,500 for 3 months.
We lost me on that last one.
Yeah, you did, that's it.
So we'll have 9 months of once a month, 800 pages, or not 800 pages. Anyway, wow. You know you're getting an encyclopedia every month. So 9 months at once a month for $800, and then the bi-monthly where Holly by the Sea goes out twice would be for $1,500.
And then 250 for.
And then the $250 for the social. And I did ask, because we're very mindful of the budget that's coming up, I asked April about that, and this is within the budget of what was approved for the calendar year before the contract was canceled. So we should be okay with regards to not going over. Yeah, so. I need to restate the motion.
I'd like to move that we accept the Holly by the News and Sandpaper Marketing proposal for 9 months at $800, 3 months at bi-monthly for $1,500, and the social media for $250. That's $250 a month, 800 and 1,500. Pending approval of the contract.
A second? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, now on to the records request policy. Okay, I asked April, and we will try to do this with every meeting, if there's policies like this, we'll try to have copies so you can read them, so I'm not sitting up here boring you with reading it, and you can review it prior to the meeting. The purpose of this is there were records requests going to legal that did not need to go to legal. And so we were spending money for records requests that the general manager was more than capable of handling. So we wanted to reestablish the Holly by the Sea records request policy. This is nothing new. This is just simply reestablishing the policies in accordance with the Florida statutes, with the exception of one change that actually benefits the association. So, does anybody need me to read through this? Do you want me to read? So the purpose of this records request is in an effort to streamline the records request policy and to ensure a timely and cost-efficient response to records requests from association members, the following policy will be put into effect upon approval of the Holly by the Sea Board of Directors. Policy in accordance with Florida Statute 720.3035. Holly by the Sea Association members are permitted to request and receive association records that are public in nature. In accordance with Florida Statute 723.303, 5, upon receipt of an open records request that has been sent via certified mail, the general manager has 10 business days to complete the request. The Holly by the Sea Board of Directors is authorized to make the following changes to this policy. Requests that pertain to legal matters will need to be made via the standard practice of certified mail. All other requests can be made in writing to the general manager. The request must clearly state what record or records is being requested. The request will be dated and signed by the general manager or personnel authorized by the general manager as having been received. The records will be made available within 10 business days to the individual making the request. If the records being requested will take more than the allotted 10 business days, the general manager will contact the member making the request, notifying him or her of the delay, the reason for the delay, and the approximate date the records will be made available. When possible, records will be provided electronically to reduce costs. When records need to be copied, the member will be required to pay 25 cents per page for any records exceeding 25 pages. At no time will the general manager or any other Holly by the Sea personnel ask why the record is being requested as stated in Florida Statute 720.3035. The general manager will manage records requests. The association attorney will only be consulted in matters of pending litigation or liability. So it's just simply reinstituting the policy in accordance with Florida Statute 720.
What has changed from the current policy?
We will not be requiring certified mail because requests are to be made via certified mail. We're only requiring that for legal, for issues that are legal in nature, and that way there is that record. All other requests, as long as they're made in writing and it's signed that yes, it was received, it just makes it easier for the association members.
Email is okay?
Email is okay. And then she would reply with the receipt. Any questions or comments?
The cost isn't changed.
No, that's standard.
That's per 720.
Right. It has to be over 25.
Over 20, yes. Anything exceeding 25 pages.
Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Deanne?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
You only get one vote. This is not Miami-Dade.
She's a pirate.
She's a pirate.
Aye.
Okay, the next one, Holly by the Sea incident report. This is the purpose. The Holly by the Sea general manager is responsible for reporting actual incidents related to liability on property as it pertains to insurance. As such, it is not the job of the Holly by the Sea general manager to mediate personal disputes between association members. This policy will immediately take effect upon approval of the Holly by the Sea Board of Directors. The policy will be such that Holly by the Sea incident reports will be used for the sole purpose of documenting employee incidents or employee member incidents as they relate to insurance claims or property liability. Neither the general manager nor the board of directors is responsible for ensuring association members have good relationships. Association members are to settle disputes amongst themselves. Should a dispute between association members result in legal involvement, appropriate policies will take effect. The reason for this is the incidents report, in my opinion, and it was also mentioned by Ms. Salazar, were being used to lodge complaints against between members. This is not good for the association because the general manager has a job to do. And what happens when an association member comes in and says, Jane Doe touched me, or I felt intimidated, or whatever it is, that takes time out of her day. And it takes time away from association business. And as stated in this policy, it is not her job to ensure that we all get along. We are adults, and we need to act as adults, and if we have a dispute, we need to go to the person to work it out, and if we can't work it out, then we just need to remain clear of that person. Or call the deputies and go from there. So the only time that we will be involved as a board or as a general manager is if there is legal action taken against a member. And then of course the appropriate policies will take effect. That's the reason for this, because in my opinion, and also after speaking to April, this has just become abused. I think as a way of you hurt my feelings type of thing. And that's not to say that the issues that are between members are not serious, because there are some serious issues between homeowners or association members. Any discussion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, there is a discussion about the finance committee. We have the budget process getting ready to start here very quickly.
Madam President,
Yes.
just a point of order. I recommend that if you, once you have a motion that's been seconded, at that point in time, you ask if there's anybody who want to have a discussion item, because that's when the floor should be open for discussion.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I've been doing it backwards, is what you're telling me?
You don't have to discuss an issue that's not going to get a motion.
Yes.
I like when you guys keep this.
Okay. We need some unofficial parliamentarian.
All right, so the next one is the finance committee discussion. Now, obviously, since this is a discussion, we will not be voting on it tonight, but this will, at the first regular meeting, we will discuss whether tonight we're discussing the institution of or the creation of a finance committee, if we're going to have one, and if so, possible names. I know Deanne had several people that she had in mind, and then we can also open it up for the next week if anybody's interested in being on the finance committee. So with that, April, do you want to brief us on the responsibilities of a finance committee, the pros and cons of a finance committee, and then we can open it up to the floor and board for discussion.
Oh, great, okay.
You didn't think you were getting through this without talking.
I was hoping so. Holly by the Sea is very different than most other associations, as you know. You're not required to have a finance committee. I know that the precedent here is to have a finance committee. Everything is rumor and hearsay, but from the things that I've seen, the way budgets have been prepared, maybe in the past there were a couple of contentious things when it came to the finance committee and the budget. My personal belief, being a CAM, is that your board is tasked with the fiduciary responsibility. I think that your board should have workshops and they decide on your budget. That's their responsibility to ensure, their responsibility for the finances. That's my opinion. I know that people get uncomfortable with that if they're not familiar or okay with the board. Previous boards that I have worked for would include myself as the GM, the accountant that you have here, that you pay for, that does all of your financials, and then your current board. The way that was done in the past is that you would have the board president, myself, and the accountant and the treasurer put together a proposed preliminary budget. And then you would have a workshop with that for the members to come and review those line items, have their suggestions, and then have an additional meeting after that for the budget to be approved. So that's the way that I'm accustomed to doing it. Doesn't mean, apparently over the last couple of years you've had a finance committee.
Last year.
Okay, so just last year. Okay, so that's my suggestion. Obviously, I'm just the GM, but that's how I think that it should be done. I don't know what anybody else thinks. So there you have it.
So for institutional knowledge, that would be probably Beth and Billy Neal. Was last year the first year that a finance committee had been established?
As far as I know, yeah.
And how did that work? I was a little busy last year. It didn't work.
They had minutes.
Yeah, last year they did it a little bit different at the direction of the president. And they appointed a committee I believe there was 3 members on the committee, that they didn't work very well together. I'm not sure there was any minutes taken, and which was a violation of Florida Statute 720. If you have a committee, the meetings are supposed to be announced, it's supposed to be documented and stuff. They didn't do it. And there was a lot of he said, she said that went on, and it was total turmoil. There were some false claims made by the board president about the financial situation of our association, which were in fact not true. And it was just from the get-go the wrong way to do business. But traditionally in the past, from previous boards, they did it just the way that April talked about, and I sat in here, and a lot of other members did too, and participated in those meetings.
Workshop.
Or workshops, yeah. And it was a give and take and done the way it's supposed to be done.
Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, I think April makes some good points, and would be fine doing it that way.
I'm good. Deanne?
I'm good with it that way.
Are you listening or are you sleeping? You're just like, I'm good with it.
Mhm.
You're awake.
Whatever.
Yes, and this won't be,
I'm listening.
yeah, I know, I'm just giving her time.
Yeah,
So, I think it would be good to have public feedback, and so, but of course, this will be moved to the meeting on August 11th. Is that the first
Yeah.
regular meeting for vote? So if anybody thinks otherwise, you're free to contact us and to allow for that time. Yes.
Beth Walter, 1948 Resort Street. Just so that people know, if we don't have a finance committee, that does not mean they can't give input, because that's what the workshops are
Oh,
for.
absolutely, yes.
So, for those that think that we're trying to hide something because we're not having a finance committee, I just want them to know that the workshops are open forum. Everybody has a give and take, just like Billy said. It's not like anything's going underneath the table, so.
Well, instead of the finance committee doing the work of the budget, the board, along with the general manager and accountant, does the work, presents it in these workshops for the public feedback, so everything is open and transparent. So, yes, I agree with
Should be
that.
noticed the same way that these meetings are.
Yes.
Yep.
But go ahead and have some dates and stuff set up on when you're gonna start this stuff, because you have a
It
lot
comes
to do
fast.
in a very short time period.
Yeah, and that's something that in the first meeting in August, we can have those workshop dates, so it can be it can be noticed well ahead of time.
If I might add something, I think kind of this finance committee was my idea, and not for budgetary reasons, not for the purpose of developing a budget, but to look a little closer at where our money has gone in the last year. I know that Jan did an excellent job. I just personally am not real comfortable with some of the spending that I think has occurred, that it seems like has occurred. And the whole idea behind that was kind of to take a look back. Not to develop a new budget, but to see what's happened in this last year. But if the others feel that that's not necessary, if they're comfortable with that, then so am I.
Tim Carson, 2261 Moray Drive. If you're not comfortable with what has been spent and how it's been spent, then you would probably, rather than a committee, you would probably need to get somebody to do an audit to find out where funds have been gone. That way you have you start a legal trail, and then you have a proper documentation to be able to do what needs to be done to follow up.
And we have not had any. Now, not a forensic audit, but you have an audit.
Has a forensic investigation or audit of finances been done in the last 90 days?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I would just say too, that in previous years, there used to be like a budget execution or a report at the meetings on, where we were at a different time of the year in accomplishing the budget. Whether we're over or under, or, we need to save some or do something along the way. Well, that's kind of gone by the wayside, and all that you get for the treasury report is that, okay, we have this much money, and that's it. And that's not much of a the treasury report. It doesn't give you any tools to work with to do something if you're considering doing it. But you should always have things that need to be done if in fact there's extra money.
I know Deanne's been working closely with the finance department to really go through items, and I know that we had an overview last week. Deanne and I met with April, but she is going through these line items to determine where we are. So I have every confidence that when she gives her reports, they will be more detailed than what they have been, because you're right, people need to know, and not without guessing. Go ahead.
And to speak on that, we're just waiting right now for some of the bank statements to come through the FSR has received that we hadn't yet. And as soon as we get those from them, we should be able to get a better overview of where we are.
Did everybody hear what she said?
Can I say, on the financial reporting part, specifically, Rhonda and I have been together, the way that it should typically be done is when you get your financials, you should get it, really all of it. You should get your balance sheets, your profit and loss, your ARs, your APs, the things that you're allowed to have. I always included notes from your balance sheet and your profit and loss on the back, so any accounts that were over or under for any unusual thing, or it's something that's like a one-time shot that came up, you should have a note that says why, so you know what's going on that. So that's what her and I have been working to get together.
I can recall times too where an actual copy of that monthly report was given out along with the agenda to the meetings.
Well, that's something we can do again.
So maybe some of just talk to some of the old treasurers on the way that they did it back. And I've got copies of some of those that I could show. I mean, I didn't do it, but documents that were given out to the members.
So anything else? Does anyone else? Okay, so we'll move this to the first meeting in August. There needs to be a vote on it. All right, so the next one is, I had put this on the agenda. There are a few members that came and approached me about restructuring the board meetings, and I actually thought it was a very good idea. And so this is discuss and possibly vote for August. First, I would like to have 2 meetings a month. One where it is a discussion very similar to the county. So on a county, there's a county meeting on a Monday. They discuss things, and then if there's something that needs to be voted on, it will be moved to Thursday for action. I like this format because sometimes things, we get a book that has the information, but sometimes, as with tonight, questions come up that can't be answered in the meeting. And so as it is now, unless we're scheduling special meetings throughout the month, something has to be deferred or tabled for 30 days or for the next month. So I know it's adding another month or another meeting, but having a discussion on a Tuesday, per the bylaws, it has to be the second Tuesday of the month, so that would be the same. So that meeting would then be a discussion meeting, and then in that meeting, if something needs to be voted on and the board wanted to, we would move it to Thursday, because that does fit, because these meetings would be noticed, the agenda would be the same. We would then move it to Thursday to vote. So what that does is if questions come up, like with tonight, the variance request, that we can get that information, we have time to get it within, on that Wednesday, and then vote on it on Thursday, as opposed to waiting for a whole month. That was the point of that. And then also what I'd like to do is to separate the architectural issues, much like they have a zoning board meeting. And what that does is it just streamlines the meetings so they're not long. And trust me, I do not want to be here for 3 hours every meeting. So my goal with the meetings is to run them efficiently, to allow public input, but very structured. We stay on point with the agenda, If there's issues that someone wants to discuss that's not on the agenda, they will be more than, they'll have more than enough time during the open forum to discuss those. But to stay on point, if we move the architectural issues to a separate meeting, they'll be quick. People who have architectural issues who don't necessarily want to come to the regular board meetings can just come there. Of course, other people can as well. And if something comes up with the architectural meeting where we have to table that, again, that is something that can be moved to the meeting. So we're not waiting, they're not waiting a month either. You know, it can be moved just to the regular meeting so there's less time there. So that's my recommendation. Now, I don't know, we would have to discuss if the board's in approval, and if not, that's fine as well, with when the architectural meeting would be set. But that is the reason behind it, is just to streamline the meetings, to reduce the time, and also to allow for information should that be needed, and then to vote on an issue without having to table it for a month. That's my point. And also, I thought it was a good idea from the board members, or from the association members. So I will open this up for discussion.
So you're saying you want to have the architectural meeting first, and
Yeah,
then a separate meeting, to have that first, and then if anything does get pushed back for additional information, that needs to be rescheduled during the regular meeting?
You could. I don't know that it would matter to have it before or after. If it's before, then, for example, in the next regular board meeting is October 11th. So if this policy were to be, instituted tonight, the first Tuesday of August is the 11th, so the discussion would be on the 11th, and then Thursday would be the meeting for voting. So you could have the architectural issue on the 4th, or you could have it, say, on the 18th or the 24th, and if it needs to be moved, then it would just be moved to the next first meeting of the next month. But I think it's important to have the architectural meeting at the same day, not same date, but the same day every month, like the third Tuesday or whatever works best.
Just so you know, the architectural committee meets the second and fourth Tuesdays.
So Pete, where are you?
First and third.
First and third, rather, sorry. First and third.
So Pete, what would you recommend? What
The
do you
second
think?
one would probably be better. The 24th, you said?
No, what is,
First and third Tuesdays.
the first and third Tuesdays is when you meet, so if we were to do this,
But even if you met on the Tuesday, we'd meet at 9:30, we could still probably get it to you.
so for you, what would be the best then? To have it before or after the regular meetings?
It's probably better after our meeting, so we could get you anything last minute, we could fit somebody else in.
After your second
After our
meeting?
second meeting, yeah, up in month.
So first and third Tuesday?
Yeah.
So for example, in that's September, my goodness.
It really doesn't matter though, because you have no idea. Sometimes you get them at the first, there's no rhyme or reason to it. I wouldn't put too much thought into it, whatever works out best.
But based on the first and third, then it would be the fourth Tuesday of the month,
Which would,
is what would
Yeah.
be for August the 25th.
right.
And then if it needs continuance, it will make the next one.
Yes. And that also gives them a Tuesday in between, if there's a follow-up issue where they could discuss it at an architecture meeting, right?
Right.
Okay, and then it could
They
go.
would have two.
Yeah, they have
Actually,
two
they would have
meetings.
two opportunities to meet
They
and
have-
discuss that before we visited that the second time, if needed.
No, the
In other
first
words-
Tuesday is when they meet, and then we would meet on the second Tuesday, then they meet on the third Tuesday, then the architectural board meeting would happen on the 4th. So if there was an issue on the 4th Tuesday, and for August purposes, that would be August 25th. If there was something that we needed to get clarification, then the architectural committee would meet on the 1st, September 1st.
More than likely though, we're not going to bring it back to the architectural committee. We already voted on it. It's more likely you need information like Rod wanted. I'm just gonna go back to the office and get it for
We
you.
got it, okay. But then that would allow us to vote on it, say, on the 8th of September, instead of making the person wait till the 22nd. Which would be,
Okay, you're saying we could bring it up at the regular meeting?
yes,
If
yes.
it was only a vote.
Yes, so if an issue came up, so let's just, this is hypothetical, okay? Because obviously we've not voted. If we had the architectural board of directors meeting where we voted on variance requests or policies or whatever architectural issues we needed to decide on August 25th, and we needed clarification or more information, instead of moving it or tabling it until the 22nd, we could move it to the commission, not the commission, the board of directors meeting on the 8th.
Yeah.
Yes, so that an issue
That would
could
be
be
more
resolved in a more
timely.
timely, yes. And that's the whole point, is try to be more timely with things. I can't imagine being, well, I mean, I can't, but you know, if you're a homeowner and you have to wait 30 days, that's 30 days. I mean, you could, not in Holly by the Sea, but you could build a house in 30 days. I mean, apparently the builders here like to take months, but, you know, or a shed or whatever it is. So I think it just helps the association members. Yes.
As we're talking about policies or revamping the board meetings, in December we had an incident that happened on telephone, which made me look up, can we do things on telephones and ask questions from those people who have knowledge of what's going on. Have we ever set a policy? According to, when you go to the question and answers section of Robert's Rules of Order, rule number 19, frequently asked question 19 is about teleconferences and having a board meeting by a teleconference, which is the closest thing we have to somebody calling in. It does say in there that you need to set up rules or policy on what equipment's going to, how you're going to do it, how you're going to proceed. As far as I know, we do not have any policies established on having somebody call in at this point in time. So I'd also encourage that we set a policy, as opposed to just de facto, this is the way we do it, it be set and the board approve it.
What do you think? Is there a statute that, is that something that we can look into? Okay. Thank you, that's a good, and we can look into that and determine what the Florida statute is. And if a policy does need to be made, we can absolutely
I think it just says you have to have.
do that.
So, Yvonne, just to clarify for my head, we'll have the regular board meeting at regular time, the second Tuesday. At that meeting, we will address Holly by the Sea business. Will motions be made at that business, and then the discussion will continue on until
The
end of
motion-
meeting, and then the next meeting that we have will be the vote, just exclusively be the vote?
All motions would be made to move it to Thursday for action. So the Tuesday would simply be discussion. So for example, with the issues tonight, we would not have voted on the sandpaper marketing or records request policy. We would have discussed those and then moved to Thursday. And then on Thursday, now obviously with the Thursday meeting, there can still be public input, you know, or if something comes up and it changes it, and then we can make changes accordingly, you know, to what was discussed. But then that's when the motion is made to approve or not to approve, or whatever the action is. But it just allows that time, and it also allows time for members, because a lot of times, you know, you see, the members see the agenda, and, you know, like with the records request policy, you know, there's chatter on what it means, what it is. You know, so this gives you time to come, read it, then you have, you know, 48 hours to think about it, and then you can come and say, I like it, I dislike it, here are the reasons why, you know, whatever the case may be. You know, so it just, I think it just allows for, and also there will be issues that, as we know, can get pretty heated. And I don't agree with making decisions in moments of passion, if you will. So, you know, having the vote delayed to a different day also allows cooler heads to prevail. So that when we come back, it's not so-
Will that vote day, is your intention to be, have that vote day be the same time
Yes.
every, something like the second Tuesday for the meeting, second Thursday for vote?
Yes. And it has to be the second Tuesday of the month, because according to our bylaws, it has to be the second Tuesday for the regular
That's only
meeting.
for the annual.
No, you
That's
can-
only the
Yeah,
annual.
You can change it.
You can make it any day you want.
That's
For the
traditional.
monthly meeting?
Yep.
Well, then I was wrong, then I had read that part wrong. I thought it was meeting, regular
the
meetings had to be.
Just annual.
So if you wanted to change the day then, that's fine as well.
We don't want to confuse people too
You
bad.
don't want to mix it up too much? So,
Now, is that proper to have discussion before there's a motion? Or should there be a motion and then discussion? In other words, we have discussion and then wait until Tuesday to have a motion? Or,
You can put on your agenda.
or can the motion follow the discussion? Or the other? You understand my
I
question?
do. You could put, just like you down here, discussion and vote, okay? You don't, I mean, because you don't know that you're gonna make a motion on it.
Well, that's true.
So the
So it will be
Tuesday,
a discussion.
yes.
On two, on. or-
Think of the first Tuesday as getting all the information out to everybody.
Yeah.
So the first Tuesday would be the discussion, and then the Thursday, you
Thursday,
can follow
yeah,
that
yeah.
48 hours
Motion and
later
vote.
would be the motion.
If
and vote.
you decide you want to.
And then, any questions, any comments about the architectural, moving that to a different day, taking those items off the agenda?
So that would be the fourth Tuesday?
Yes, but is that what everyone thinks is best, the fourth Tuesday? Yes.
For ACC.
For the architectural.
Speak still here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Are you gonna have anything that
You never know,
is,
you really don't. It
well, I mean, do
changes.
you have anything right now that's important enough that's gonna need to be hitting on the next meeting?
We didn't have our next meeting yet. Everything that we just had, we're cleared. So we won't know that until our next meeting next week.
All right, thanks.
Also on the fourth, if you have it, the fourth Tuesday, she may have a hard time getting it into the paper.
But that's okay. We'll work around it. We'll just plan on going to press that Wednesday or Thursday. Because we can just wait on architectural.
What's
Would
wrong
it,
with
would it be
Wednesday?
better then if we moved it instead of a Tuesday? Would it work better then for, would it work well for you if it was the fourth Thursday?
Do it the Wednesday following their
Okay.
second monthly meeting.
Bingo.
Or Thursday, you have any day that week.
Have the,
Say that again, Billy?
have the, do it the Wednesday following the second meeting, architectural meeting.
I understand what you're saying, so it's,
And if there's a problem with bingo, move the board meetings to the beach
You guys have
house,
bingo?
like they used to have. Or move bingo to the beach
we
house.
could have architectural committees combined with bingo, wouldn't that be fun?
So we're saying the third Wednesday then?
Third Wednesday works, that's
Then you,
good.
then you capture both architectural
Architectural
meetings. Or if they don't have anything, don't have the meeting.
Right, cancel.
Why can't you? You
And with
have
that-
architectural on Tuesday morning, right?
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Why couldn't they do it the third Tuesday night?
If you want to stick with Tuesday, you,
Well,
it's,
the problem with that is if there's a lot of paperwork, she'll be slammed because permits need to go out. We usually have so many permits or applications being done that she might have 10 to 15 that got processed that day. Now she also gets to
Okay.
process their
How about
books.
Thursday,
You won't
so
have the
Wednesday?
information in your books either.
Wednesday seems to be a busy
Yeah,
night
yeah.
for some people.
It might be better to go with that final, the last Tuesday.
Or Thursday.
Or Thursday.
That Thursday of the third
So,
Tuesday.
if the third Thursday, if the second meeting is the third Tuesday of the month, if we have it that week on a Thursday, does Shelby have enough time
Yeah, that should be
to
sufficient.
get the information,
Third Thursday.
the third Thursday?
Most of the time, we could telegraph it's going to be a problem. Like, she probably knows what's coming for Tuesday, whether or not we hold back and we have to vote on it as a committee, whether or not we want to even bring it to you or go back to the homeowner and have them change it. So we could sort of predict a little bit of what's coming down the pike. If it's going to be an issue with us, then it's going to be an issue with you. So we'll take it week by week.
So she could have us the books by Wednesday so that we could review them for Thursday?
Yeah, you're probably only talking about 1 or 2 properties anyway.
I just want to make sure that that she's not being slammed to rush through something to provide
Yeah,
information.
Wednesday would be probably tight for her, you know,
Yeah, that would be.
only because we have to get the permits out to all the people that have the accepted applications.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion. Should I try to be succinct with this? Are you ready, Sam? Here we go.
Okay.
I I make a motion to I don't know how best to begin it. I make a motion to add a regular meeting in addition, no, let me start again. I have to help me out here. I make a motion that the first Tuesday of the month is the regular meeting.
Second Tuesday.
Second, okay, I'm sorry. I make a motion, we'll get through this. I make a motion that to add a second regular meeting after, 2 days after the first regular meeting of the month, which is on the first Tuesday.
Second.
Second.
Would you like me to make this motion?
What day is it again?
Yvonne, you're not held to that second Tuesday. You can determine the day that you want the regular meeting to be, with the exception of the annual meeting. So if you want it to be on Friday, the meeting could be on Friday. If you want it on Monday, it could be on Monday.
I would like it on Saturday morning at 7 o'clock in the morning. That way we know there will be no discussion and it will be a very short meeting. Everything's approved.
Billy will be here.
Don't get locked into the Tuesday thing. You don't have to do Tuesday.
But we would like to establish a regular,
Yeah,
some regularity.
you have to do that. You determine your meetings are gonna be on, whatever the date is.
Okay, then let me pull
The
back to
second
the
Tuesday and the second
and let me
Thursday.
ask this question. Does the board desire to change the regular meeting to a Monday as opposed to a Tuesday?
However, before you do Mondays, think about holidays.
Mondays and Fridays are always bad.
I'm good with Tuesday.
All right, so the motion is Tuesday works? So the motion is to add a meeting 2 days after the regular scheduled monthly board meeting. The first regular board meeting will be for discussion. 2 days later, the second regular board meeting will be for voting.
Will they include architectural
We'll
in
do that
that?
second.
Okay.
Do I need to restate the motion, or is that good?
I got it.
We're gonna add it.
That'll be a separate motion. So,
Second.
any discussion?
And I would just say add in other items of business that come available. Don't just make it like that second meeting is just for voting. You can do other stuff besides
Oh,
voting.
yes. Does that have to be stated in the motion?
Your agendas need to say if you're gonna allow for additional business, which you should do not, what I mean?
Yes.
You should put in there.
But is that something that we need to make a motion to vote on? Okay.
But
Because this
that
is just,
agenda would have to be set the day,
Additional
the
business
night of
as
the regular meeting, because it has to be noticed.
Yeah, if you put on the agenda,
so we could add then, to ensure that it's posted, we could add an item, say for, after new business, any additional items.
found off of the,
Yeah,
Off
that
the
would just
agenda.
be the
any
agenda.
new, that,
Whatever you want to put on
from your
the
agenda
agenda.
item.
Okay.
You wouldn't add a totally new item.
No. No, not unless it's some emergency that arises. So, any other discussion?
Come on. You have to clarify though, after that second meeting, who's gonna make up the agenda, get it posted so everybody can see it, so you have the 48 hours that it's posted? Do you have enough time there?
Yes. Because the agenda of the second meeting will mirror the agenda of the first. Because the first agenda for the second Tuesday, if that's the final day, which I think right now we're leaning toward keeping it on that, is the discussion. So for example, the agenda, if we were to do that with this one, this agenda would be the same for those items that need to be voted on. Now, there will be some items that are just discussion. Like for example, Beth might have something with the committees that is just, she's coming up, she's giving us information on the committees, and it's not really anything we need to vote on. So that would be on the
I was just more
Tuesday.
concerned with having enough time to type it up after the meeting, to have it
Well, it really should be preset.
I would think that they'll both be
Because
posted at the same time.
Yes, and then, but if something is changed, we can amend the agenda to include
Right.
something that comes up after it's posted.
You can do an amendment right then.
Or we could, yes, right then.
Yeah.
So any other discussion items? Or a discussion of the item, of the motion?
So the motion is to have the regular board meeting for discussion the second Tuesday of the month, followed by a meeting for carryover and vote on the second Thursday.
Do you want me to read what I have? Because I think it doesn't lock you into Tuesdays, because if something were to come
Yeah.
up. Two days after the regularly scheduled board meeting, first board meeting will be for discussion. 2 days later, the meeting will be for voting and additional business as deemed necessary.
What she said.
I like that.
Okay, I got it. That's what you said.
That way, if we have to move it,
We can't.
we can move it.
Right.
And we, yes, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Deanne?
Yeah.
Deanne, did you hear everything?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have any questions or comments?
No, it sounded good to me.
Okay.
As long as we're really decided it's Saturday at 7 a.m., I'm good.
She wasn't sleeping.
She was asleep until she heard that. Yeah, teasing.
Yvonne?
Yes.
To address the notice issue, says regular meetings, no notice is required for regular meetings held on the date and time set by the board of directors for regular meetings. So what you're doing right there is you're saying it's really like a continuation of the other meeting. So the 48-hour notice, you don't have to worry about.
Well, we'll still post it, just,
Yeah. But you're posting it
But the
basically
agenda
prior
has
to
to be
the.
posted.
no, what he's saying is because it's a continuation of the meeting.
No, he's talking about he's talking about the regular meeting on Tuesday, right?
Yeah, the regular meeting on Tuesday, notice is not required if
If you keep it that day.
if you keep it that day.
Well, for next month, we will keep it on the second Tuesday. So for next month, the first meeting will be August 11th, followed by August the 13th. We need to motion to approve. All right, so now for the architectural, I make a motion to move all architectural issues or variance requests to a separate meeting on the third Thursday of the month
At 6 o'clock?
at 6 o'clock, at 6 p.m. 1800 for, there's the military. Is there any discussion?
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so, all right, the next is a pretty serious issue that we need to address is the upgrade to the software. So, April, did you want to brief us real quick?
Okay, as everybody knows, the building is getting older and so are all of our systems. Currently what we have right now, is a software program, that hasn't been upgraded. Basically, everything is going to cloud-based, and what we have right now is not compatible without an upgrade. So what's basically gonna happen in a couple of months is we have to go out and buy all new software because we can't hold, there's no more information that our software will hold. Or we can choose to upgrade to the cloud, and then we will be where we need to be with that. So when I say our software, I mean our member management software that we use, the front desk check-in software that we use, all of that.
Yeah, you're not talking the tops that we
Not
just bought.
tops, no.
But membership management is what we kept from previous.
It's the interface between that and the other systems that we use up front. So let me pull it, what we got here. What's the name of it on your page there?
Motion soft?
Yeah, MotionSoft. So the MotionSoft is, you know, our check-in system, which links to all of the other softwares that we have right now. So they all interface together. TOPS is already with the cloud. So everything that comes into there, we can't streamline or do anything else to make everything go together because the MotionSoft software is outdated.
Does TOPS have a compatible MotionSoft replacement?
They do. And we also went out and got comparison quotes for, you know, if we didn't want to do the upgrade cost because it's a little bit pricey, to look at what, you know, maybe different software that would, you know, integrate with TOPS would cost, and it's just astronomical. So for us, the only option is to look at upgrading what we have right now.
Can you go over the cost?
Yeah, I really wish it was okay. Basically, what we have right now is we're paying an annual fee for the software. It's a, and I don't have that number in front of me, just shoot it on here, 400, off the top of my head, it's $425 a month. What's going to happen now is because you're going to the cloud-based software, we have to pay for additional users to upgrade what we have. That would be 5 stations, which would be the front desk, the accounting office, the AR department, member management. So there are 2 computers up front, 2 computers in accounting, and member management. So to integrate all of those together, it would be $85 per computer, which we weren't paying before, per month.
And are there any other expenditures for renewing?
No, we wouldn't pay anything additional than that. That would be what would be the upgrade cost
So
for
it
us.
would be $85 a month for 5 computers?
Yep.
And the
Times 5.
times 5. And then the proposals for, that went out, how much were they?
Oh my gosh, that proposal, the first proposal was $28,000, with the Abacus total with some interfacing stuff that they say that we needed for licensing would be a total of $29,800. They pulled another company.
How much, which company is the $85 per computer cost?
MotionSoft, what we have right now, which would integrate with TOPS. So it's just upgrading what we currently have instead of moving to a different software. She pulled, I don't see it, did you see it?
So the MotionSoft would be $5,100 a year. That 85 times 5 times 12 is 1,500. Is that right? Yes.
Is there a startup cost on that?
Yeah, there is a, the exit file fee, which is basically the transfer, is a one-time cost of $1,600.
Well, to me, just looking at the cost of Abacus, it's $29,800, whereas staying with who we have, who already has the system that's all connected, it's just upgrading it, it would be annually $5,100. So it's really a no-brainer. I wouldn't imagine why, I would never support increasing for the same thing to that much of an increase.
Short of capacity, is there a problem with MotionSoft? Has it been satisfactory?
Yeah, it's fine. It's just right now, it's not compatible with all the new TOPS and the other programs that we brought in to bring us up to speed. MotionSoft is the only one that hasn't been touched. So it's never been upgraded at all. So like I said, everything now is cloud-based with the exception of the MotionSoft that we have. And when you upgrade it, it will be cloud-based and integrated.
Does the new software have any additional features that we don't have right now? That would be beneficial?
Well, it's when it pulls in the top stuff, all of that will go direct. Like Pam has to integrate information on downloads from the front desk. So basically, we're doing anything manually into member management instead of if we put information in at the front desk, it's going to automatically go into her member management system. So like for people who bring in deeds and stuff, they're not giving paperwork to the front desk. The front desk is putting in their notes. They're trying to get it in Pam's box. As soon as it's put in up front, it's in member management in the back. Payments that are made that come into accounting, it will wipe out a note at the front desk that says your account was frozen for the people who come in and go, I already paid that. So it just allows for, I would say, the personal, it's a, you know,